sessions, which talk about everything to do with startups. Every Thursday at 5 p.m. under the aegis of the CII Startup Subcommittee. And today we have two very interesting folks with us, Vishal and Shilpa, who are going to be talking about redefining marketing with transparency. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to the two of them. Vishal and Shilpa, over to you guys.
So thanks, Mr. Ravikant. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here and to moderate this session with Shilpa. For those of you who will get to know Shilpa, and I will ask her to introduce herself. But before I start off, I wanted to apologize that I intended to do this interview from the Orchid Pune, from where I'm actually traveling on the highway. And unfortunately, due to traffic and other reasons, I have to take this interview from the car. So please bear with me. But this is also a lesson in entrepreneurship that every calamity is an opportunity, and you should grab it and not let any calamity also go, because usme bhi there एक opportunity hai. There is something further on which I'm going to definitely talk to Shilpa on this point about gap. First, map, gap, and tap, and I'll come to that a little later. So, Shilpa, namaskar and welcome. Before we start, I just wanted you to let us all know that before we talk about your entrepreneurial bug, to talk about yourself and your professional past. What you were doing before, and we'll come to your entrepreneurial part.
Sure. So thank you, Vishal, and thank you for having me here. It's an honor. So coming to your question, so hi, I'm Shilpa. I'm the founder of this brand called Renutra. It's a health supplement D2C startup. And just to give us a little bit background about myself, so I am actually a qualified pharmacist. And then I moved into the management side. I've done my MBA. And then I have worked in the nutraceutical industry um, space for a couple of years. So, majorly, I was into the nutraceutical ingredients B2B space, where I was handling the Nutra industry business for a Swiss multinational. I was handling the Pan India business. So, during that stint was where I came across all the stakeholders in this industry, and that is where I fell in love with the industry as well. So that's a little bit about my work ex and background.
Okay, so I mentioned something about map, gap, tap. Basically,
Mm.
what is that? That's a simple thing that first you map the market, you see a gap in the market, and after that you tap that gap in the market. So map, gap, tap, is something what probably you would have definitely seen while working in this Swiss pharmaceutical within the segments. And what is it in that particular thing that you saw as in that this could be my entrepreneurial calling in terms of an opportunity? What was your map, gap, tap?
Yeah, so as I said, when I was
Your
working,
I think on mute.
sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Now I can hear you. In the middle, I think it was on.
Okay. So as I said, when I was working in this industry, I was involved with a lot of stakeholders, and majorly I was working with these finished product brands also in formulating, in marketing, um, the manufacturing side of it also. So what I saw was that, generally the way a product was being ideated. I used to see that consultants used to come and say that, oh, this particular therapeutic area is trending. Let's
Right.
formulate for this. And then a marketeer would come in from their side and say that, oh, but this claim is trending. Let's, put this claim. And I used to then come at the ingredient side. And I used to think that, it's kind of uh, reverse engineering of the
Right.
product, right? First you're deciding that, oh, because this is trending and we want to claim this, let's formulate this product.
Mhm.
Whereas the gap that I saw was the claims that were being made were not so authentic or not so evidence based, so to say. And that's where, the transparency angle, the authenticity angle comes in, right? So, majorly, the products were being created by marketeers, right? And even now, if you see in the industry, um, there's a lot of noise about, even about
Correct.
clean labeling, there's a lot of noise.
Correct.
But
Correct.
then how do you convert this clean? Clean is a very vague term, if you see. And what does clean label even mean? So what I thought was, how do I convert this very vague clean into something tangible or into a system
Hmm.
wherein the consumer actually understands ki, okay, what I am getting is actually what what the company is saying is actually what I am getting.
So for those of you who have come in now, and I did not introduce myself particularly in the start, which I think I should. My name is Vishal Kamath, and I'm from Kamath Hotels. I am part of the Kamath restaurants, the Orchid Hotels, the Era by Orchid, and basically the theme in which here we are looking at. So, we why I mentioned this is because when I mentioned about the map, Shilpa said, and we'll dwell a little more on basically the credibility part. So I'll narrate a little personal story. Basically, when my father in 1997 started Asia's first five-star eco-hotel that time people did not understand what is eco-hotel. They thought it's a budget hotel, well, economical hotel, because that time people's environmental conscious level also was extremely low. With the understatement, it was nil. People did not think about the environment, and it's only through sustained education, sustained this thing that today now eco-friendly practices, thanks to Orchid Hotel from 97, is synonymous with the industry, not only in India but abroad. And many of the practices started at the Orchid are now global habits, recycling your towel and this and that, many other things. So I think, Shilpa, what you said, that considering that, health supplements, various health products have especially got a boost after Corona, and you find a whole bunch of people. One of the things which I wanted to ask that, you're right, trust is a big challenge. Kamats is not trusted because it's the best idli or the best South Indian on the highway. It's trusted because it's the most consistent. You know what you will get. You can go with your family, and that's basically what it is. But I myself say there are many better places of idli or South Indian joints than Kamats, but you know what you will get. I think that consistent. So, what about your thing when you've been looking at establishing this, considering your startup? What all have you done to reach out to your consumer? Like example, some people would use a celebrity endorser, maybe a health like a Million Soman type, or somebody who's not just a movie face, but a man or a woman who walks the talk in terms of health and credibility. So what is it that you have looked at to establish that based on your small setup looking to become
Yeah.
large?
Yes. So, good you mentioned about the celebrity endorsement factor as well. I'll come back to that. But coming to what we did differently when it comes to the whole transparency angle was, so when I was also working, um, I was also handling the international markets, right? And what I saw was that even in the most less stringent rules for food, there was still a front of pack labeling system that the regulators mandated. Even countries like Sri Lanka has a mandatory front of pack labeling system. Now, our Indian regulatory agency also kind of uh, toggled with the idea, but it never came into like a proper policy. There are various reasons for it. But then, as a brand, we thought, why should we wait for regulators to tell us what to do? Why can't we self regulate? Why can't we voluntarily do something that is the gold standard for clean labeling? So that is when we decided, and this whole transparent marketing, you cannot decide to do it. It has to become the entire ethos of your existence as a brand. So it has to start at the idea stage itself. You cannot formulate a product and then say, okay, now I'll do transparent marketing for this. No, The ideation, the formulation, everything has to, become compatible with that. So we decided to do this traffic light system of front of pack label. So what we do is we color code the level of fat, saturated fat, sugar, and salt on front of our packet, and we color code each and every item. Say for example, sugar. If it's above a certain threshold, you color code it into red. I mean, that's the globally how it works, this kind of a system. So when a layman, he looks at it, he immediately comes to know whether this, how clean or healthy this is for me. Because now what we are seeing in the industry is, um, there are a lot of brands who are claiming to be clean, zero sugar hai, and they are listing ingredients on the packet. Fair enough. They think that's being transparent. But how does a customer understand that? Just by reading the ingredients, a layman or a consumer is not going to understand if it's still good for me or no. And that's where the entire confusion and lot of noise is coming in. And also the point that you mentioned about celebrity endorsement. Um, what we have understood from our marketing so far is our target audience, especially the Gen Zs and the millennials and the upcoming Gen Alphas. They, I mean, celebrity brands are no longer as, strong as they were before. I mean, there is a sort of a trust deficit that comes in there. So we are seeing this even
Shilpa,
in
but while
yeah.
we but while there is a trust deficit in a Gen
Mm,
Z, the Gen Z being a certain part of this audience, let's
mm,
also understand that one, consumer awareness. Okay,
yes.
one is legal side, where the law takes a lot of effort to
Correct.
educate the citizens. So you have banks doing it with UPI. You have sometimes medical advice given based on a national calamity or an issue. Okay, but what we're talking about is a routine run of the mill kind of consumer purchase bag. So your color coding, which might be of an international standard you following, within India, obviously this is the awareness. Even I don't know what this color coding is, and I would say think that I'm a somewhat educated shop. Okay, maybe not in the segment of this thing, because that my wife also buys all these and says, "Ye khane ka wo." So my trust comes from my wife. If she says this, I have to eat, I have to eat. But when she is going to buy something, what is she going to buy is based on a marketing strength. Now, no matter how good I am, unless and until I do not get out. Now, even if I don't believe in endorsement of a celebrity, you still will require various tools such as Instagram, such as newspaper ads, some radio jingle, maybe whatever kind of marketing you. Even if you are going to list your product on Amazon, Amazon and all these people also take to promote your saying sponsored ad
Yes.
or an Amazon approved. So when we have this kind of various segments, how is it that you are, while you're doing all these great things and you're saying I'm sincere, I'm honest, I'm clean, how is it then that the consumer will believe in this or get to know first and then believe in it and then buy?
Absolutely. So that's what we have noticed, that the Instagram, Facebook, the meta ads, that's your traditional way of, building awareness and communicating your message.
Hmm.
Then comes influencer marketing. There are celebrity endorsements. I just want to say one thing, that today's consumers are way smarter than the marketeers that are writing those copies, right? Um, Especially my target audiences, people who are very, very aware and are wanting to shop for their health.
Right,
They don't just look at an ad or a celebrity telling them to have this, or an influencer. They will do their own research. And
right.
it's not just limited to Google research now. People are moving to newer channels for product research and
Such
discovery,
as,
such
such as,
as AI search engines.
yeah,
There's
but AI
Reddit.
ultimately, they ultimately pull from all these channels only, which is whether it's Reddit or whether it is your various blogs on Chrome, so even
Correct.
AI, if you use a chat GTP also, ultimately the only advantage of using a chat GTP is that it goes to multiple sources to pull data, but ultimately it's going to through Chrome kind of setup and looking for Google only. Hmm.
Correct. But there are newer channels which are emerging, which are, so to say, more authentic than
Ah,
an influencer, right? So people are moving to Reddit to search for
okay.
anything. Reddit has insane number of search volumes on Google. People will put in your brand name and put Reddit, and then they will search.
Hmm.
Because the reason being, people believe that Reddit is still, so to say, a pure place where you can find very, very unbiased and authentic reviews. So they'll go there. They are not going. So today's consumer is not going to get influenced by influencers or celebrities. Yes, those are your traditional channels, and you'll have to do those. But there's a way also, I think, coming to transparency, there's a way of doing influencer marketing also correctly, because now people see through any kind of, they're way smarter than that. And
So
influencer marketing by design is either a paid or a barter system, right? So then
right,
how do you get authenticity there? The person who is
right,
watching the influencer recommend something also knows that, oh, probably the brand has paid them or given them something to say this, right?
right.
Yeah, so then it really depends. As a brand, we only work with, so we decided we'll only work with experts or fitness influencers who have subject matter expertise.
Correct. Like I mentioned, that's why I didn't mention Shah Rukh Khan. I mentioned Milind Soman because I
Yeah,
have seen Milind Soman running at all odd
yes,
hours of the day, night, midnight, morning. Because I'm catching a flight or I'm coming home from a party, and Milind Soman is jogging on the footpath or in Shivaji Park. So that's why I took
yes,
his name because people like him are inspirations who
yeah,
walk their talk, and that's why I asked about
correct.
this thing. So one of the things as part of your entrepreneurial journey is from a very nice cushy job you headed out to roasting your feet on the pavement. So what was it like for your husband and your family, and what was it for them about your in-laws? What can you share there? What is the initial reaction when you told them? What is it then after that happened? Obviously, you are smiling and very bubbly about it, so they have been very supportive, I'm guessing. So why don't
Yes,
you share us, but what was it initially, and if they had any reservations, how did you overcome them by sharing, whatever they, because they, mummy papa ko to tension to hota hi hai.
of
So please
course.
share it.
Yeah, of course. So coming back to, my parents, they have been extremely supportive from day one. Not just in my founder journey, but all throughout. Whatever decision, they have always given me that freedom, and they've always had that trust. So I never faced that kind of a, that was not my struggle, so to say. And
Hmm.
coming back to the whole founder journey, it's a
Mhm.
lonely journey, and
Yeah,
no matter how much support you have from your family, ultimately you're in it all alone,
right,
right?
right.
But I would take this opportunity to say that I have a very supportive husband, in-laws, parents, so that entire ecosystem is really working for me, so I have it easier in that sense.
So So you've been lucky that you had been,
Yes.
because this is something which, so as part of CII, one of the reasons that I think Mr. Ninad requested me and invited me to be your moderator, because I'm also part of CII mentor mentee program. So many people come to me at times, and one of the challenges do have is, first is internal discouragement, because I don't think people discourage because they don't have a belief in their ability, but it's that what if, and that's
Yeah.
why I said, from cushy job to
Yes.
chappal ke stool nikalna, that is something which and then what is the backup plan? So the minute, it reminds me of the story of this, if you want to be successful now, you have to burn your life raft. Is that's the thing. If you have got, either you drown or you make it, but if you think you
Absolutely.
have a life raft waiting, you'll definitely fail. So that's one of the, even in the Spanish conquistador also did that. So what when you started this business, your family supported you emotionally and said, don't worry, go ahead, but emotions cannot feed your business. You need money. So what did it
Yes.
that did you borrow from friends? Did you borrow with your family, or is it self-funded? As in you saved up before and you saw that okay, I'm going to do this, and what was it about the money? I'm sure many of the people will ask in Q&A. Please do put in your Q&As, my friends who are watching in. So later on, I'll definitely pick up the points which are not covered in our chat just now. Yeah, Shilpa.
Yeah, yeah. So, coming to the financial part of it, definitely it is challenging, no matter what kind of support you have from anybody. So I have personally kind of saved up because I was working on this in my head. um,
Mm.
I've always wanted to do this. So even when I was in a job, I always had this thing that, oh, I have to kind of save up and build a certain corpus because I want to at some day invest in my own company. That
Interesting.
meant
That's
that
good. That's good.
so that meant lot of sacrifices on your lifestyle front.
Mm.
It means so even now, I left the cushy job, but you see your friends who are climbing up their corporate ladder. You see them in all these traveling to these fancy places, attending all those conferences, and as a founder, especially as a bootstrap founder, it's not very glamorous. Okay, you have to
Correct.
do everything right from sometimes packaging the shipments to handing it over, everything, right? So it's
Yeah,
not
I've
so
done that. I've
glamorous.
even transported goods. I've done this for a good phase in my life where packing and all is still. I've done deliveries, transport. People have tipped me also. So
But that's the
so
fun of it
so
also.
even
And
that's the fun. But that's
yeah, yeah, and if you don't enjoy it, then I don't think you should get into it.
so you touched upon a point which many of our entrepreneurs fail at, and that is basically one is creating a cash flow. You may not have profits, but you need cash flow. All of my friends who are listening in, you need to make sure that your business runs on petrol, which is cash. How much are
Yes.
you rotating it? How much are you churning it? You might have a massive profit, but if that profit doesn't convert into liquidity, your business is going to fail. So liquidity is always the first key to success. So apart from what Shilpa said, building up a reserve and then entering in this segment, apart from that reserve also, after that making sure that you rotate your cash flow, which brings me to another
Yes.
point. Comparatively, your business, definitely compared to restauranteering and hoteliering, is a higher margin than us, okay, with lots of other benefits, but everyone thinks the grass is always greener on the other side. But that said, since yours is a comparatively higher margin product, and with a particular demand, like a specific demand, so since the product range and this thing, what are the advantages that your segment offered you in your entrepreneurial journey vis-a-vis what you may have heard of from others or what you feel?
Yeah, so I can talk about the health supplement business.
Right. Mhm.
Yes, the margins are, so to say, on the higher side. But if you are in it if you're doing like an ethical job, if you're sourcing the best of ingredients from the suppliers, then you do cut on your margins. You do put everything in the product, and also your marketing costs are quite high because the business is new, the brand is new, and
Right.
to drive that kind of awareness, to um, you know put the product proposition across and to communicate again and again, and that incurs certain
Of
costs.
course,
Yeah,
marketing
it's
is the
a
biggest cost in a startup,
absolute
especially. Marketing is a big
absolute
cost.
absolutely. But yes, you have to have a certain discipline in your spend. um, right, you have to know your unit economics uh, like very very well, very sharply, and you should know how much money you have to spare for what marketing activity. It has to be done in a very focused way.
So what has been the kind of struggles that which you can share, a couple of personal struggles that you've had
Yeah,
in
so
this?
yes, so we are just about in the fourth month of our launch. So we are also learning the struggle. If if I so to say, and other startup founders also can relate. So performance marketing is the number one marketing tool that you use, right? Your Meta ads, um, and Meta keeps changing the algorithm probably every third day.
Right.
So
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
have to
Google,
figure
Google, Meta,
out.
they keep, yeah.
Absolutely. And probably by 2026, Meta is completely going to shift to AI. So
Right.
yeah, right? So you don't even have to make a creative. By 2026, Meta is everything is going to be automated and they'll run the ads for you. So every third day, the algorithm changes. And you have to kind of see, where can you find that delta for your brand? Is it the creative? Is it the communication? Um, that is really the struggle, but that is also something that will compound over time, right? Your meta ads and awareness, so to say, um, is something that
See,
is going
and
to.
in all our business,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
all our businesses, it's less about our business and today more about IT, which we say in a very loose term, whether it is use of technology for a simple thing like billing, MMS, your storekeeping. A lot of people fail because, well, not a lot of people, but some people fail because they just don't manage the inventory. They don't know what they've got, what they're sending out, what order has come, and then while they've got money for certain orders, they are stocked up with stuff which is non-moving or slow moving, and then they don't have money for fast moving items because that money is locked up. So inventory management tools, like I said, POS. I'll give you a small example which my wife won't like, but my wife is a very enterprising woman. But why our bank HDFC did not have a simple thing like sending a link. So one actress my wife keeps doing catering for, and she keeps paying by credit card. And a very stupid thing that my wife would do is send one boy with an EDC machine to our house in Jew, and then she would make the payment. I said, Ati, what are you doing? Why don't you just send her a link? Because these are things which we take for granted in Orchid Hotels and all. Ki baba koi bola ये link and you can pay through UPI, net banking, credit card, however you want, because the options are many, which we all see and have done. And she's like, no, my HDFC bank doesn't have it. I'm like, just get out of that bank. It's very useless. I said, today even a SBI offers you this, or any PSU bank offers this, and HDFC is not able to offer you. And you as an entrepreneur wasting, $1,000, sending a guy his salary comes back, and all for collecting money which shouldn't. So I totally agree that with you that IT as a whole, when we're talking about marketing and Meta, when we're talking about tying up and using plugins for Amazon, Google, just like restaurateurs would with Swiggy, Zomato, or maybe you might be with 1MG or with
Yes. Yeah.
Farm Easy, all these various, like you said, alternative, not alternative, rather segmented
Hmm. Yeah.
specific internet tools, like Farm Easy or I know this thing. So yes, definitely IT is there. I think I'd like to leave some time for question answers. That's why I'm going to ask you one last little personal question. But I
Hmm.
think all our women entrepreneurs, particularly young ones like you, would definitely think about and keep, ye kuch hai. So you're a very family person. I had a nice chat with you beforehand, and I asked you one question that you don't do you have kids? And you said, no, not yet. Okay,
Yeah.
so I want to know from you as a woman entrepreneur, with a person who desires to have kids in the future, that whenever it is. But having that, but you're still an entrepreneur, having your own business. What is it that you have done or thought about, just as you seem to be a forward thinking girl, कि हाँ आगे जाके मैं बिजनेस वुमन बनूंगी तो अब से मैं सेविंग करूंगी सैक्रिफाइस करूंगी वैसे what is it that you have thought forward, that how will you handle, when you'll have kids, you'll need to take a kind of break. What is it that you've done as a preparation or planning for your to continue your entrepreneurial journey once they become a little small, like that way? What is it that you planned about? Because obviously there's
Right.
going to be no, today you
Right.
have
No.
sacrificed it, but after 10 years, I'll be very happy to take the same interview, but not from the car. As a 1,000 crore company, we know, wow, kya baat hai. I had done Shilpa's interview and she was just starting up as a startup. So we'll also have our moment of pride at that time. So considering that, tell me about the thing as a woman,
Right.
how you plan for your future.
Right. So, it's, of course, as a solo woman founder, it's a different journey, especially when you're in your mid-30s, you're a woman solo founder. There are certain questions that you get. And what I always answer is it's a thing of a mindset, right? If you as a woman feel that having a family or raising kids is going to hinder somewhere in your career, then it will happen. But I think if you develop a mindset in such a way that, okay, I mean, having a family is should not be a deterrent to your career.
Correct.
Um,
I agree with you. I
yeah.
absolutely
So
agree.
and
It's
taking a break is not an option, and that is not something I would want to do as well. I don't think I don't look at things in that way. My mindset is not that way. That oh, if I have a family, then career has to take a backseat. I don't look at it in that way. So
no,
if you
I
ask
was
me,
asking basically I was asking
yeah,
more from the physiological point that when you will
yes, yes,
deliver, you will
absolutely,
take a break. So
absolutely,
it's
absolutely,
not that. But so for those 2 months, 3 months, again,
absolutely,
it's not going to be easy that you might want to dedicate still your 18 hours of the day, but you would
mm,
probably want to take because you'd have to bring up your kids a bit, you'd have to feed them, you'd sing. So you might go off and on, or you'll change your timings. So you'll also have to build a team. My point would
yes,
be that
absolutely,
one is that
absolutely,
building a team who one of the things for all my friends who are listening, this is something which I truly believe. I learned this long time back, that if you want to grow, you have to make yourself redundant. If you are a waiter and you want to become a manager, you have to be such a great waiter that you should be redundant so that your junior can take your place so you can grow to be a manager. If you want to become if from a manager to a general manager, you have to first make your team so strong that your waiter should be able to take your job so that you can then take the general manager's job. What happens? Many people are insecure. They feel that if my guy is so good, then he will do so well and my boss will kick me out because he'll say isko rakhte. But world doesn't work that way. And if you think myopic, you will get myopic results.
yeah,
So in this case,
correct,
Shilpa, what that you will need to, as an entrepreneur, build a team, have a strong team, because no matter what, your children will fall sick. You will need to be home. You will have to feed them.
yes,
Something will happen. You need to be home. You will have some social commitments. And even now, you might have some social commitments. You'll need to be somewhere else. So one, you'll need to definitely build a strong team which relies on systems and processes and not
yes,
just personality.
correct,
So broadly, I
absolutely,
was looking at that. I was not looking for an
absolutely,
answer particularly, which was that, taking a backseat. Obviously not. You've started a journey to complete this journey. When you look back after 25 years, you will see, and your children will be part of that, progress of yours. Because I the best entrepreneurial ideas have come from a a sudden realization of a need. Suddenly, next thing you know, Shilpa's on the talk in 2 years selling us, all kind of baby supplements and other things. Because as a mother, she realized, ये भी gap है भाई, ये भी gap है, तो हम जरा भी ये भी करेंगे.
yes,
So, ठीक है. So I think Shilpa will take some Q&A because we have about like 20-15 minutes left. So let me start off with the starting. Um, some of the questions are quite repetitive, like example, what inspired you to start Renutra? And okay, so marketing with transparency. How can, okay, so Shilpa, let's look at this. How can
hmm,
startups strike the right balance between authentic storytelling and marketing appeal? I think we can take that briefly because
yes,
you are very popular. You've got tons of questions.
okay. So, as I said, transparency and marketing appeal, right? How do you balance these two? So, I would say that transparent marketing is not something that one day you decide you will start doing, right? It has to start from the ideation. It has to become the ethos of your brand, so to say. So, and also marketing appeal. Now, um, how do you define that a certain marketing or a certain message is appealing, right? Nowadays I see a lot of so to say clever marketing and very catchy ads and creatives,
Right,
uh, right? So ca- it's not necessary that clever marketing equals ethical marketing, right? And
right,
especially in the health supplement business, I think ethical marketing should take precedence over clever marketing. First, what you are saying, what you're communicating uh, has to be evidence based. The claims have to be substantiated,
Today.
and then you
Mm.
kind of try to make it appealing. You use puns, you make it clever, you do whatever you want. But
Correct, correct.
ethics first.
Mm.
And when so we are trying to uh, we have a founder led brand, because I myself come from that kind of a uh, qualification and experience. So I come out and talk about
The-
products. I come out and
Today.
it's an education first content, right?
Right.
uh, Now my target audience finds education first approach appealing,
Okay,
right? That my target audience, the Gen Zs, the millennials, they don't like when they are sold something like an in your
right.
face selling. No one likes nowadays.
Okay.
They want to be educated first, and then you show them a certain ad and they might buy. But you can't. So appealing marketing is a very, very dynamic term. What is appealing, what was appealing 20 years ago will not be appealing today, right?
So then,
So,
so one of the persons has asked that based on all this what you mentioned, how do
hmm,
you measure the return on investment for transparent marketing efforts? Is there some way for you to measure this? Like example, when Orchid Hotel, coming back to that, and when we
hmm,
did the Orchid Hotel in '97, that time there was a survey done by us with more than 250 corporates, asking them about, would you prefer to stay in an environmentally sensitive hotel? What is it that you would, you pay more, would you pay less? And there were people who would give answers, and there was a whole survey there was a whole survey that was done. So I think it's a very good question. In your field, is there
hmm.
a way to find a return on investment for being transparent with your marketing efforts?
Yes, absolutely. I think the time today is people are very aware about reading labels. Consumers are very, very aware about clean label, clean products. That's the trend.
Right,
So transparent marketing has to become like a baseline to start, rather than being a differentiator. It has to become like a baseline for brands, especially in
right,
the health
right.
space, right? So we do so there's no one way of measuring ROI in terms of your financial metrics, right? And we are too early in that sense to measure the ROI on the brand awareness front. But what I believe is transparent marketing is something that will compound over time. It's like
Right.
drop by drop and then all at once. That's how
So,
these kind of things compound.
so there's a lot of overlapping questions which are there. Like example again on marketing, how
Hmm.
can brands grow? Many people have asked you with saving by spending less or by keeping it frugal. How can brands grow with marketing,
Hmm.
ethical marketing? Like one of the persons has asked, how can you save? What channels, what opportunities can you look at by reducing your money and spending? Cost-effective ways for small startups to communicate with transparency without heavy marketing budget. That like this kind of questions, which are quite common in this chat.
Yeah, yeah, right. So as a startup, resources are scarce. And
Mm.
yes, so you have to remain frugal and cost effective. Now, um, when your ethos is authenticity, then you also have to look for marketing channels that resonate with that kind of an authenticity, right? For example, when I said an influencer marketing, you look for nano or micro influencers, but who
Right.
are authentic, right? Whose content is authentic, who resonate with your brand.
Correct.
That could be one option. Then you look at channels like Reddit, where the
Yeah,
channel
which you mentioned.
itself, right, where your consumers are going to that channel to look for authentic reviews.
Basically, your testimonial review, what we call testimonials, where random people,
Yes,
what is Google review or what is TripAdvisor review, is basically people you don't know, you assume are more honest than people you know.
absolutely.
Whether they are a friend who's maybe having a bias, or whether there is a celebrity who you said is paid but does not, imagine tomorrow Yokozuna type of person coming and talking about health is a mismatch. But then you know that
Yeah,
it's all bogus because he's not a
correct.
health oriented guy. So, someone who's done surgery or cosmetology and then coming about talking about organic may not necessarily click, so a walk the talk kind of experience. So that's
Absolutely.
kind of like what the main things are. Many of the questions actually you've answered in one way or the other. So while the
Hmm.
list is quite long, does anyone else have any other questions? Because which was not a repetitive one, which I can ask her. No, because like example, you mentioned there's one over here. Do you believe in AI and data-driven marketing, which you mentioned on? So you've spoken about that. You've spoken about limited budgets, how they can build a brand without overspending on marketing. So then there are cost-effective ways to small startup to again. So we've kind of covered a lot of the questions. Anything else you would like to share, Shilpa?
Um, yeah, so I mean, as I said earlier, um, when we talk about authenticity or when we talk about transparency, I don't think so. We have to move from a place where transparency is a differentiator to it is a baseline.
Oh,
Like
I'm so
the
sorry.
consumers,
I'm so sorry. There are two questions. Shilpa, sorry. There are two
yeah,
questions I missed out on.
yeah.
One is from one Mr. Vishal Sanghvi. Okay.
Hmm.
He said, have you studied which state or part of Indian citizens are more conscious about adoption of healthcare innovation for wellness and fitness? I'm asking because I am shortly coming with our market tested air quality diagnosis and solutions, basically for PM levels, CO2 level, humidity. Do you think this business model has a map gap tap criteria as per Mr. Kamat's explanation? As you are a health wellness expert, I'm asking these questions. Thank you, Mr. Vishal Sanghvi. That's a very unique and interesting question. So, yeah, would like to touch on that. That what is the study? Have you seen? Are people in South India more, or West India more, or East India, or where Northern India? Who's more health conscious, and what do you have some kind of a market intelligence to share with Mr. Sanghvi?
Yes, I mean, I can touch upon that.
Okay.
So coming to health and wellness, so it is still, I can talk about percentage of penetration of health and wellness products in India is
Okay.
11%, right? Which is low.
Oh,
If you compare
very low.
with global averages, it's quite low.
Right.
Okay, but it's
Yeah.
growing. It's growing at double digits. And so at our price point, it's a mass premium product. And what we see is India one is what you call that particular demographic, right? That is your target audience. And in terms of geography, if you say, I would say Bangalore, because there's a lot, I mean, people are very early
Right.
adopters there. Lot of early
Yeah.
adopters, people who are willing to try out new brands, who are very, very invested. So this whole investment and consultant community is very, very big on health and wellness, because health and wellness has now become like the new luxury for a
Right.
certain category of individuals. So they no longer discuss cars as luxury. They discuss what fitness event they are going to or what supplements
Yes.
they are
Yes.
taking. That has become the conversation. So yes, I
I've
would
I've
say,
noticed that. I've
yeah,
noticed this a lot. People talking about marathons, people talking about doing
yes,
various events, going for
yes,
that flags. What is it called? Boot camps,
yes,
and all these kind of trekkings. In fact, one of the things, especially very popular now in the winter time, again will pick up, is trekking to various forts of Maharashtra from
yeah.
Mumbai, or Pune, or because Maharashtra has some beautiful trekkings in the hills, as do many other parts which are on the Western Ghats and other places. So this kind of physical activity along with has definitely picked up. So one of the other second questions I have is Mr. Praveen's. What is your suggestion to someone who is trying to explore his her entrepreneurial career in a competitive market case in India? Hello,
I actually, your voice
hello.
was cracking in between, so I couldn't hear your
Okay, I'll
question.
I'll just
Yeah.
start again. Sorry,
Yeah.
this thing, my actually it's not my bad. It's Airtel ka bad. But any which ways, what is your suggestion to someone who is trying to explore his or her entrepreneurial journey in this competitive market of India? The
Mm.
follow-up question is: in case it doesn't work out, when is the point you should close the business and think of something else? So I think,
Okay.
first part you can answer. I can answer the second part. If Mr. Praveen would like to know the answer from me. So Mr. Praveen is our question who has asked this question.
Okay. Um, Competitive space, assume they mean the health or the supplement space. How would you navigate that? I think being irrationally optimistic that it will work out. I think that's the only way as a founder that you would think of about growing your business, and also keeping at it. Um,
Yeah,
just keep
definitely.
going
I
at
agree
it.
with you.
Because slow and steady, right? And as I said, drop by drop and all at once. You have to believe that at some point that all at once is going to come. So just some level of delusion and some irrational optimism is what I think will keep you going.
I don't disagree with you at all when you said that, just keeping at it. So,
Yes.
what happens is that in case it doesn't work out, so this is a very difficult thing because in every entrepreneur, you don't really know when that point is. And if something is not working out, first you need to address why is it not working out? And do you have the ability to resolve that problem? uh, Opening up the right place in the the right product in the right place is just half the job. Even the
Yes.
timing matters. Right
Yes.
place, right time,
Absolutely.
right product, and sometimes right starts also. Let's appreciate something that
Absolutely.
sometimes some things are also about luck. It's you build your own luck, and 90% of the time it's about being showing up. If you don't show up, you're not
Absolutely.
going to be lucky. So that takes effort. Whereas people, so yeah, Mr. Praveen, to answer your question, if it doesn't work out, firstly, beforehand, you got to keep looking and wondering what is it that is not working out and why is it not working out and what can you do for it. If it's not working out, say if it's a product which is failing again and again, you need to address the product. Say if it is, so whatever is your issue, it's very easy to shut shop. And that is
Yes.
probably not why you've started the business, right? You started because
Absolutely.
you want to succeed. So before you actually throw in the towel, and there's nothing wrong in throwing in the towel, that also let me tell you. But you've got to really be at it and tinker at it. That why it didn't work out? Because if your competitor or if your friend or if your whoever you've seen and gotten is doing something, then you're basically going to emulate. If you copy also, you will fail. Huh? Remember, Me Too products don't succeed. You have to have your USP, you have to have your own mark, you have to have your own identity. It might be like today, we were talking to Shilpa. So Shilpa's marketing will probably appeal to a certain audience, but not maybe another audience. Maybe, or what kind of ad do you put out, or what kind of outreach do you put, Shilpa?
So a lot of founder-led education first
Okay,
content.
so now probably this kind of content may not necessarily appeal to some
Yeah.
older audience who feel like, Arey, but they might still say if a Shah Rukh Khan comes as le lo Shilpa ka item, then they will be very happy and say, "हाँ, ले लूंगी." So there is still a large audience who will go for a traditional marketing because they maybe their mindset is that way. They are plus 60, plus 50, plus 40 like me. So then I'll still go probably for a different kind of marketing and I still believe in it. And then there's the Gen Z who's going to do their study, research. They say, I don't believe this celeb.
Yeah.
I will go by my own gut feel or my own study. So I think with that, Shilpa is 550. I think we are at the verge of
Okay.
closure. I think 5:45 I was told. So
Okay.
do we have Anand? Is that correct, right? I think we've come to the end of the
Uh,
chat.
yes, we are towards there.
Okay. So I think I'd like to again remind everyone who have logged in and seen Shilpa and my Vishal Kamat's chat that this kind of chat happens every Thursday at 5 o'clock. You have other young startup entrepreneurs, you have other mentors like me coming, having a good chat, learning from each other. By the way, I've learned a lot from Shilpa. So it's never a one-way street. It's always a give and take, and you will only get in life as much as you give, that much you will get. If you don't give, you'll not get. So thank you, Shilpa, for giving me so much to learn about, so much to think about, and being there for all our panelists also. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishal, and thank you for hosting me. I really enjoyed
My pleasure. My pleasure.
sharing.
Thank you. Bye. See you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dil. Bye. Bye.